First, what are our governor and legislature doing about gun violence? Governor Doug Ducey says it's a, quote, concern for his office, and he'll be dealing with the issue. That came after he initially complained the Florida massacre was being politicized. As for the Republican-controlled legislature, it has consistently expanded gun rights. That's happening again this year. But for one weird moment last week, President Trump was cracking down on guns while our lawmakers were backing off. The Arizona Republic's Dustin Gardner has been tracking gun-related legislation at the Capitol this session. Welcome back to Square Off. Let's start with that strange convergence last week. At the very moment the House refused to discuss a ban on bump stocks, those are the attachments that enable a semi-automatic rifle to fire faster, you had the president saying he was going to ask Attorney General Jeff Sessions to do something about it. What happened? What was going on then?
Yeah, so the Democrats in the legislature tried to force a vote through a procedural move on a bill that would ban bump stocks. Like you said, they basically enable guns to fire at a more rapid rate, a rate similar to a fully automatic machine gun. And as Democrats were pushing that vote on the floor, Republicans were refusing to debate it. And at the same moment, President Trump announced that he'd asked the Justice Department to look at taking steps to ban bump stocks. So just a very coincidental timing.
Coincidental, but what was this more of a symbolic effort by Democrats? Because it appears they weren't following the legislative process the way you're supposed to actually bring bills to the floor.
Yeah, I mean, it was completely symbolic. The Democrats have pushed almost a dozen gun-related measures this year. None of those measures got committee hearings as a bill typically would in the process. But because they didn't get any hearings in that process, Democrats tried to push a vote on the floor to put Republicans on the record saying that they support, allowing these devices to be legal in the state.
It looks like things got pretty tense on the floor.
It was very tense, very emotional. The debate went on for a long time. You had Democrats getting up, some of them in tears, saying, we've got to do something to stop the deaths of children in schools. And then you had Republicans on the flip side saying, don't politicize this. And, if you're worried about violence, let's talk about violent video games. Let's talk about the number of abortions in the state. So just very ideologically divided on the floor.
And pretty much it's the way it's been for the last several years, what I've seen there, gosh, going on for more than a decade at the legislature.
Yep.
So no Republican bills. Gun safety bills got a hearing. Republicans do have a couple bills of their own they are pushing. What are they?
Yeah, so no gun control related measures got a hearing, but Republicans have several measures that would, expand rights for gun owners. One is cutting rules for foster parents. Basically, there's some rules that the State Department of Child Safety has imposed for foster parents, rules like that guns must have a trigger lock or be stored safely. This bill would cut those rules and make it so foster parents don't have any sort of special gun storage rules like they do now.
So despite the fact these children are still wards of the state when they're being fostered, correct? Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
The state will not require foster parents to do anything to keep their guns away from children.
Yeah, I mean, I think basically Republicans that are pushing this measure are saying that foster parents should have the same, gun rights as everyone else and shouldn't have any extra special rules that they have to follow.
There's a second bill involving non-lethal weapons, allowing non-lethal weapons on campus. We know the legislature has tried and failed for several years to allow weapons on public school campuses, on college campuses. Those have failed. They're taking a different approach this time with non-lethal weapons. Are they really non-lethal?
Yeah, so that's a lot of the debate about this bill. This bill would allow basically most forms of non-lethal weapons. We're talking about things like stun guns, mace spray, maybe flashbang grenades, just a wide variety of weapons. But that's been a lot of the criticism is that, this isn't specified in the bill what is an allowed non-lethal weapon. So the concerns are that this could just open the floodgates for a variety of very dangerous devices on college campuses.
That's certainly the concern of Board of Regents President Eileen Klein, who tweeted very aggressively last week against this bill. Finally, some legislators bipartisan, about 40 or so, 39, almost 50, 39 Democrats, I think 12 Republicans got together, and they asked Governor Ducey to create a task force to look at ways to prevent school violence. What's the response been so far?
Yeah, so you had 50 lawmakers sign this letter to the governor, and the governor, has essentially not taken any official steps yet. He said that, basically lawmakers can do this on their own if they wanted to. But I think the lawmakers that sent this letter are wanting the governor to sort of take a leadership role on it, so you can bring in, school officials, legislators, various different parties to have a broader conversation about school violence. But so far, no action from the governor.
All right, Dustin Gardner of the Arizona Republic, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.